Now that we've got our template all set up, the first thing we need to do, very important, is to save our file. Right now, it's just untitled, and yours probably says untitled 1. And that means if you start working and SketchUp crashes, you're going to lose that work. And SketchUp has an autosave function, but it only works if you save and name the file first. So we're going to go to File, Save, or Save As. They both work the same at this point, and name our file. You can name it what you'd like. I'm going to call it QuickStart and then save. Now we're ready to draw. So one other thing to know about this template is that we're zoomed fairly far out. There's no scale figure in the template, so it's a little hard to tell at first. But if I start drawing a rectangle, just like we did before, tap the letter R on your keyboard or this icon here, and I start drawing, if you look in the lower right-hand corner, that's where our dimensions are going to be. And so right now it's about 32 by 28 feet. And if you check out the dimensions of the bedroom, it's going to be a little bit smaller than that. So we really need to zoom in on this. So what I'd like us to do is draw a rectangle, start right here, click release, don't click drag, click release, and then move your cursor up and to the right. And we're going to get it somewhat close. So I'm at, let's see, maybe about 20 by 20, and then click release. So I'm just eyeballing it, looking in the bottom right-hand corner. You can see it says 22 feet. There's a comma. That's going to be the by or the X, and then 18 feet, or let's move it up a little bit more like that, just to get the general size. It doesn't have to be exact. And now I can use that as my reference for zooming in. So I'm going to zoom in. It's important to use a 3-button mouse. You're going to use that center scroll wheel and roll it forward to zoom in. And then you can roll it out backwards to zoom out. If you're using a trackpad, you can use 2 fingers to slide inwards or 2 fingers and slide them out to zoom out. We can also use Zoom Extents, which is this icon here. And that brings everything that's in our drawing into view, into the screen. It sort of zooms in on everything that's in our drawing. All right, so now we can just back out slightly. Now that we have a good view of what we're drawing, let's go ahead and hit our space bar, and that's going to be our select tool. But from now on, I'm going to just say space bar, because even if you're adverse to keyboard shortcuts, the space bar is going to be the biggest shortcut that you can use, the biggest key on your keyboard, and you're going to use your select tool the most. So get used to using that space bar and not clicking on the icon. Moving over here to click on this icon is going to take a lot longer. So spacebar and then double click. That's going to select the face and the edges that are surrounding the face. So go ahead and double click there and then tap the delete key on your keyboard. Now this is a general drawing area of what we're going to start with. I also would like us to stay in top view. If yours doesn't say top here, you can go to Camera, Standard Views, Top. And I'm on a Mac, so the keyboard shortcut is Command 1 to go to top. So if you accidentally orbit a bit, you can hit Command 1 for Mac users, or we can go to Camera, Standard Views, Top for Windows users. Now that I'm zoomed in a bit here and I'm in top view, I would like to go to Parallel Projection. So go to Camera, Parallel Projection. It starts us in perspective, which is great for drawing in 3D. But in this project, we are going to start with a 2D footprint. So parallel projection is going to help us stay flat on this ground plane here as we draw. All right, now we're all nice and set up. Let's start drawing. We're going to grab our line tool, which is the letter L on your keyboard or the pencil icon here. But as you may guess, I really like using keyboard shortcuts, so I'm going to be calling those out as we use each tool to get you away from clicking on the icons up here. It's just going to make you a lot faster at modeling in SketchUp if you use your keyboard shortcuts. All right, now we're going to reference that floor plan, and we're going to be drawing the floor of our floor plan. So we're starting with the interior measurements. We're going to start in that lower left-hand corner behind that chair. and move to the right. So click release somewhere here near the origin point, not on it, but just near it. Click release and then move your cursor to the right. Your line is going to turn red and it's attached to my pencil tip there. And if you are seeing something like this, like that, and it's not attached, that means that you clicked and dragged. I don't want that. I want a click, release, and it should be attached. And then you can either type the distance and click release again. So when you click drag, it chooses the start point and the stop point, and it doesn't continue drawing lines. So I don't want that. I want click release and then move to the right. If you accidentally start in the wrong area or you click drag and you want to undo, you can go to Edit, Undo, or Command or Control Z. So it's Command Z on a Mac or Control Z on a Windows machine. And you really want to get used to using the undo function. I use it a ton because I make mistakes or I start in the wrong spot or I do something that I didn't intend to. If you write any post-it notes for yourself to use SketchUp, it's Command or Control Z. All right, so back to our line tool, this icon or the letter L. Click release and then move your cursor. So it should be attached. And then we're wanting it to be aligned with the red axis here. So it should be a red edge. And then we're going to type the distance. You can see in the lower right-hand corner, the length is changing as I move my cursor. So that's waiting for our input to let SketchUp know how long this line should be. It's always waiting for our input. There's never a need to click in that lower right-hand corner. Literally never a need to click in there. So we're going to type 7 foot 7, enter. And as we move our cursor around, you can see that it starts to change because we're now drawing a new line. So we're going to turn the corner and now we're aligned with the green axis here. So your line will be green, which gives us a nice 90-degree angle. Referencing that corner of the document set there, it's going to be 4 foot 9. So 4 foot 9, enter. And you may notice that I typed 4 feet 9 and I didn't type inches. And that's because this default template is inches. So I could type any number and it would come out in that amount of inches. So we do need to type feet, but we don't need to type the inches symbol. So just 4 foot 9, enter. And now we'll turn the corner, aligning it with the red. So you just need to tell the line which direction you want it to go, and then you can type the distance. So we're turning the corner, just skip right over any doors and windows, and we're going to type 10 feet 9, enter. And then we're moving upwards, the green, and we're typing 12 feet 6, again, skipping over any doors and windows. Now we're turning this way to move to the wall behind the bed. So we can either type in the distance or we can infer to this point by hovering. Don't click, just hover. And as I move my cursor upwards, there's going to be a string. And that's letting me know that I'm crossing over that plane because it's inferring to this point. So it's helping us out as I align to the red and then cross over that point, it becomes snappy. And then if I look in the lower right-hand corner, that's right at 18 foot 4, which lines up with the dimensions in the plan. So I'm going to click release and then continue along. And to close the shape, we are at 17 foot 3. Click release to set it. Now, if you're not sure about any of the distances that you drew, if you're not sure if they're correct, you can grab your tape measure tool and just hover over the edge. So that's going to be this icon here, or the letter T for tape. And an endpoint is going to give you a different set of information. The edge, it's going to be a red square at this point. It's going to give you a yellow box letting you know how long that edge is. So if you want to check that against the dimensions in the plan, you can check that using your tape measure tool. You can also check that under Entity Info. If you select an edge, so we've got that space bar out, right click and choose Entity Info. This panel will appear, and any edge that you select it's going to give you the length. 17'3", we select this edge, 12'6", and the cool thing about this is it will also give you the square footage of the footprint here. So our floor is a little over 265 square feet. That's really helpful for takeoffs. All right, so check your edges, make sure it matches up with the plan. You now have the floor of your space in here. We're going to add wall thickness and then windows and doors in the next few lessons.